Well, hello, my name is Mandy and my channel is Mandy Sorts It Out. And I've had a bit of a holiday over Easter. I didn't intend to, but it just shot by. So here we are. It's time to do another weekly spending review video. And this week I'm looking at the 1st to the 7th of April. So let's start. So this week I got an income of £1,029.72. £12.10 of that income was cashback that I received on my credit card, and it's all the cashback from my spending since I've started with that credit card. I think it might be up to a year's spending to get £12.10. Doesn't seem an awful lot, but at least it's something. And then I got £1,017.62 as interest on my ISA. And this was a little bit unexpected. You've probably worked out by now that I'm a little bit scatty. And I just hadn't realised that I was going to get that much interest in at all. I think what happened was that last year I had this ISA with the same financial provider, and they paid me interest every month. And then I continued the ISA into this year. And this year they didn't pay me interest every month. Now, I actually did contact them about that at one point to check that it was the right thing. And they said, well, this would have all been in the documentation we sent you. We're now paying it annually. And I was like, okay then. But it never occurred to me to kind of work out exactly how much that meant I'd be getting at the end of the year. And because I used to get around £83, £84 a month, that's what I thought I was getting on the 1st of April. And another reason why I wasn't particularly thinking that much about how much interest I was getting was because the ISA was coming up for renewal. The interest rate that I was being offered by the financial provider that held the ISA was really poor in comparison to what it had been. It was less than half of what it had been. And so I was concentrating on finding if I could get a better rate elsewhere, which I could, and then how you actually go about transferring ISAs, because I've never done anything like that before, and I wasn't actually sure if that meant I'd be able to do it or would it have to stay there. I just wasn't sure. And I did find somewhere, and I found out how you could transfer it. So my thinking was all about getting that done in the right time scale, ticking all the boxes with the 2 different financial providers that I needed to. And I wasn't really thinking about the interest. I kind of knew it was coming, but I wasn't really concentrating on it. So when I actually looked to see how much interest I'd got on the 1st of April, when it matured, I was really shocked. Really, really shocked. I didn't expect £1,000 at all. So I might have had a bit of a splurge. Just a little bit of a splurge. So that was my income. And we'll start with donations, because as you know, last week I remembered that I hadn't included a donation of £1.50. So that's one of my donations, £1.50. And then I decided that as I was feeling quite flush, I would give £100 to a food bank. And I initially decided to buy food and put them in the food bank at Tesco. And I bought £19.80 worth of food when I was shopping in Tesco and put it in the food bank. But the food banks were extremely full, whether it was because it was Easter and people were feeling quite generous, I don't know. But they were very, very full. I had real trouble getting 6 items into the food bank. And I'd seen that they were full on the way in, so I hadn't bought more than 6 items, but I still had a trouble getting it in there. I had bought 6 rather large items. And so when I got home, I thought, well, I'm going to have to go back and get the rest of the food. And then I thought, no, I don't. I'm sure I can donate straight to the Trussell Trust. And I looked on their website, and sure enough, I could. So that's what I did. I donated £80.20 direct to the Trussell Trust. So that comes to £101.50. Then I spent quite a lot of money on incidentals. In total, it came to £50.83. Partly this was down to watching some videos that were talking about potential consequences of the war in Iran and how we should all be keeping perhaps a little bit of a stock, getting some preparedness in place. And one of the things that I've been thinking of over the year that I've lived here is that everything's electric. Everything's totally electric. And if the electric went out, I could light candles, I could use my phone while the battery lasted. I've got a phone bank somewhere, but I don't exactly know where, which I need to know where. But I wouldn't be able to produce any food because I don't have food in my fridge that I can just eat without preparing it, without cooking it in some way. And there's very little in my freezer that I could eat without cooking it in some way. I have bought additional cans of beans, which is low in sugar and salt, so that I have got some things that I could eat cold out the can if I had to. I've done it before and I can do it again. But I was thinking about it would be nice to get a camping stove. Well, after watching these videos, I thought, I'm going to do it. So I went onto Amazon and looked and looked and looked. And every camping stove I found, when I got to the reviews and looked at the 1-star reviews, people were saying it leaks gas. It leaks gas. Set off my carbon monoxide alarm almost immediately when I got it out of the box. And I was like, I don't want that. I do not want to bring something into my house that could leak gas. Camping stoves come in 2 parts. There's the gas canister and the bit on top that holds the pan on. And I don't know what the bit on top is called. I shall call it the stove. I saw a stove from a company called Camping Gas, and they were saying that they had a unique connecting thing that would connect it onto the gas in such a way that it was not going to leak. Camping Gas is quite a good make. I've known them for years, so I thought if this is affordable, I'll get one of these stoves and one of these gas canisters. Well, the gas canister was £11.46 and the stove was £10.62. So in total, that comes to £22.08. And I thought that was pretty good because it was around the same cost as all the other stoves, the other cheap stoves that I've been looking at. So I wasn't going to pay a fortune. So that's come down now, and I've put the gas tank very near my carbon monoxide alarm, and so far it hasn't flickered. So that's really good. Because I was buying this from Amazon and they would not deliver it to a click and collect, probably because of the camping gas, I decided to order enough things so that I wouldn't be paying any postage and packaging fee, because that's like lost money to me. I have got tons of stuff in my Amazon shopping list on the save for later part of it. And some of it I really wanted, and it'd been on there a long time. So I thought, right, I've got this extra money coming I wasn't expecting. I know I'm going to be okay at getting to the end of this year without dipping into my savings. So I'm going to buy some of these things that I want. So I bought a pack of 3 bra extenders for £4.39. I would show them to you, but I'm wearing one. It turns out that the bra that I bought from Marks and Spencer's in their sale, I could not wear it. It wasn't quite the same make as the one that I bought before. It's exactly the same size. The one I bought before fits me, and this one I couldn't get it on. So I bought a bra extender, and now it fits and it's very comfortable. So that's a very good investment. And I bought what I thought was a phone holder, a grippy phone holder that has got suction pads on both sides. And you can suction pad it to a mirror or to a window or to a cabinet and video yourself as you do things. I thought that'd be quite good to add an aspect to my videos. And this was showing me a 2-pack of these grippy plastic things for £3.69, which I thought was a steal. So I ordered those. When they came down, they had the suction pads on one side and an adhesive part on the other side. So what I did was I stuck them together in the hope that this would produce something that would hold my phone on things. Well, I think it will hold my phone on some things, but it doesn't really stick to an awful lot of other things. And it's very small. It's a tiny little thing. So I don't think that's going to work. I'll give it a good go, but I don't think it's going to work. And I wanted to do some repairs on some clothes, and I've been looking online at the kind of repairs you can do with embroidery thread, and was particularly interested in a Japanese technique called sashiko. And there was a kit for £9.99 that I thought would be really good to get. You get these stencils. I think there's 10 stencils that you can use if you get a pen that will vanish when it's washed, you can use to mark up the lines on these stencils, and then you can sew different patterns onto the garment to cover a repair, so the repair is not as visible as it is without this stitching on top. I have a particular top in mind that I absolutely love, and very early on in its life I dripped some bleach onto the arm of this, and that patch is now worn out. It's got a hole. So I want to patch it, and I'd like to do something over it so that it's not as obvious. So I think that was a good buy. And in addition to that kit, which I really got for the stencils, although there is some embroidery thread in it as well, which I shall use, I got some sashiko needles for £5.59, which are quite long. The ones in the kit, they are supposedly sashiko needles, but they are very, very short. So I'm glad I bought some extra ones separately. Also, I went to the shops with somebody that I've met in this area, which was a first. I haven't done any socialising apart from going to a knit and natter group with anyone from this area as yet, so that was really nice. We went to Hobbycraft because I wanted to spend my birthday voucher. And I was chatting to this lady while I was shopping, which is never a good idea. And I wanted to buy sock yarn, and they didn't have any at all. But they did have cotton yarn, and I thought I'll get that because I have another project in mind which uses cotton yarn. But now I've got it at home, it's a cotton blend. But I think I'm going to do it for the project anyway. I could take it back, but I think I'm going to do the project with it anyway and see how it lasts. I've crocheted a bag before. It was initially for a phone. It was a case for a phone, but it's very small, and my phones have got bigger since then. I think all phones have got bigger since then. So I've used it for various things. I've used it as a glasses case, but I currently use it to hold all my pedicure, manicure things, and my tweezers and my magnifying mirror, all that sort of thing. But the magnifying mirror is a little bit too large for the bag, and I can't really do it up. So what I need is another bag that's just slightly bigger that I can fit all those things in. I'm sure I'll find another use for that bag. It's a very useful little bag. So that's what I want that yarn for. Then I spent £30.94 on food. I did a shop at Aldi for £19.51 and a shop at Tesco for £11.49. I have videos of both those shops that I will show you afterwards. And then I spent £13 on gifts. Now, when I wrote my budget and I was thinking about Easter, I thought, well, I don't buy anyone Easter eggs. I don't need to put any money aside for Easter. And I don't buy anybody Easter eggs. But as it got closer to Easter, I remembered that last year I bought my son, who lives nearby, a really fancy Easter cake from a cake shop that is near me. And I wanted to do the same again this year. I didn't want to let Easter go by without anything to mark it. So I spent £6.50 on this fancy Easter cake for my elder son. And I also remembered that for my younger son, I sent him the equivalent money and asked him to go buy himself an Easter egg. So that's what I did again this year. So I spent £6.50 on the Easter cake, and I spent £6.50 sending that to my son in Jersey for his Easter treats. So I don't actually buy any eggs. I'd just forgotten about these other things I did. Thankfully, I've got the money to do it. And because I had this extra money in, I've been looking at this exercise program for quite a while. It's supposed to be a really basic exercise program of movements and stretches that sort out any issues you've got. And I've got quite a lot of issues. I've got arthritis in my kneecaps, between my kneecaps and my femur. There's no cartilage left there at all, and my knees have been very painful, and they've both done a thing where they suddenly swelled up, and I was on crutches with one and walking with a stick for quite a long time with the other one. And I don't really want them to go again. I get a thing with my hip where I'm limping quite badly and have to use a stick, and I don't want any additional movement things. And reading the reviews of this course, loads of people are talking about how it's got them out of pain and it's got them much more mobile. I struggle to get on the floor, and I struggle to get back up off the floor again. I struggle to look down in cupboards and see what's at the back, the low cupboards in my kitchen. So I just think it's time to do something now before it gets any worse, because I don't want to spend the remaining years of my life struggling. I've been thinking about buying this program for such a long time now, and I've been looking at other people's programs and keep returning to this one. And they had a special Easter discount on. They were selling this program, which is called the Simplistic Mobility Method, and they were also selling at the same time a course called Ultimate Core. Now, the Simplistic Mobility Method is usually £69, and Ultimate Core is usually £45. And Tom Morrison, who offers these things, has also written an ebook, which is usually offered for £6.99. But they were offering all three of these together for £94.98, and I decided to go for it. So I've spent that on my health, which is a brand new budget for me. And it shouldn't come last, should it, really, your health? But there you go. And my rent went out in the sum of £720, which has come off my housing budget. So my total spend was £1,011.25. My rent hadn't come in this week, probably because of Easter. It's actually came in on the 8th, which is today. It came in this morning. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. So let's look at my monthly budget. Every month I put aside £221 for food, incidentals, petrol, toiletries and cleaning, and phone. So far I've spent £81.77. My food spending was a little bit higher than normal, but that's fine. I had my son around for Easter. I did a roast dinner. I don't normally do roast dinners, so I don't mind spending a bit extra. And I got all those Easter veg, which didn't cost very much, but it will see me for quite a while. So I've overspent on my incidentals, as you can see, but I still have £139.23 for the remainder of the month. So I think I'm fine there. So let's look at my annual budget. My budget runs from 1st of May 2025 to 30th of April 2026. The end is so close. I've had income over that period of £18,188.97, and I've spent £17,817.19. Now, I've adjusted three of my budgets. The gift budget, because I've now closed that down. I looked through my cards. I have a selection of cards I keep at home. And I looked through that to see if I had a card that would do for this last person I need to buy a card for, and I did have one. So given that I'd bought Easter gifts as well, I decided to close that budget down. So I've increased it to £760.32, which is what I've spent. Then I've adjusted my donations budget to £200. I've spent £187.64 of that. I might spend more, Who knows? When you're shopping and it comes up on the till, I might spend it. If I still have some at the end of the month, I might spend that. I'm not sure yet what will happen there. And my health budget is new, and I've only put £94.98 in there, which I've spent. But actually, I spent some more on my health today, but you're going to have to find out about that next week. Now, something I want to point out here is that my remaining expenditure, the last column, comes to £676 and a penny. My sinking fund is £371.78. So I only needed another £305 to come in, and I would have enough money to cover my predicted expenses until the 30th of April. This morning I got my rent, and that came in at £1,870.28. We will look at that more next week, but it does mean that I don't have any worries at all about coming in under my income, because my income's more than I ever expected it to be. So anyway, I will now show you videos of my shopping at Aldi and at Tesco. I've been to Aldi and I got a bit more than was on the shopping list. On the shopping list was the Easter veg, eggs, sweet corn, toothpaste, wholemeal flour. That's not to say I don't need what I've got, but let's go through it. Wholemeal flour, that's 99p. I've just opened the last one I've got, which I only just recently bought. 2 tins of sweet corn, 340 grams. They are 55p each, and no added sugar or salt. So brilliant. I'll see if I like those. Then I've got 2 soya milk. I've finally found their cheap soya milk, which I have not found before. I've looked for it and not found it. And they were 79p each. Then I bought some disinfectant, Berry Harvest concentrate. Astonish, that was 99p. No idea how much it normally is. Then I got 6 mixed sizes free range eggs for 99p. And some Sensodyne Complete Care, not Sensodyne, Sensitive Complete Care toothpaste for 69p. I've tried it before, and even though I've got extremely sensitive teeth because my roots were, and in some cases still are, exposed, they do the job, so that's all I need. Then I got some mixed bean salad in vinaigrette, that was 69p, and 2 tins of cannellini beans, 45p. Then I got these Webox Licky Puds, I can't say it, for cats. My son has 2 cats, so I thought I'd get him those for Easter for the cats. They were 99p each. No idea how much they normally are, but they were in the specials bins, so I'm hoping it wasn't too bad. Then 1 kilogram of chicken thighs, £2.99, which was more than I thought it was showing on the fridge, but they didn't have any chicken legs, and I just really didn't fancy chicken drumsticks again. Then 3 bars of dark chocolate, 100 grams, because they'd gone down to 65p. So I thought I'd stock up while I was there. I've still got 2.5 bars from when I last stocked up when I was in Wales. Then some wonky black grapes, £1.37. And the first of the Easter veg, 500 grams of parsnips for 4p. Doesn't look like 500 grams worth, does it? Then I bought a sweet potato for 69p. I got the biggest one I could find, as usual. Natural yogurt, that was 55p. The biggest Swede I could out of the bunch, that was 4p. Some wholemeal noodles, again they were in the specials bin, that was 99p. Bag of white potatoes, 8p. How much is that? 2 kilogram. 1 kilogram of carrots for 4p. 1 kilogram of brown onions for 8p. And a 5-pack of bananas for 78p. That was 27 items for £19.51. I've been to Tesco. My son is coming for Sunday lunch on Sunday. So I bought myself a medium chicken from Tesco. That cost £3.95. I bought some Yorkshire puddings. I didn't notice until I looked at the receipt that they're gluten-free, but I don't think it'll make too much difference because I eat gluten-free Yorkshire puddings with the family and they're lovely. So those were £2.30. Then I have a head of broccoli, which was 15p. I wanted some pigs in blankets. I know there's a lot of salt in them, but it's a one-off. I know I've talked about one-offs a few times recently, but it's Easter, so there was no ready-made pigs in blankets. So I bought these pork chipolatas, which I thought looked quite nice. I mean, they look quite fancy, don't they? They were £3. They were on a special offer. And I bought these all-rounder potatoes, which were 15p. Then I bought a packet of streaky bacon. That's to make the pigs in blankets. I think I'll freeze what I don't use. And I brought 1 pack of unsalted butter, which was £1.99. I nearly forgot these baked beans. These are reduced sugar and salt baked beans, and they're 42p a tin. And I got 2 tins. My son and I had an absolutely stonking Easter dinner. The potatoes that I bought from Tesco made the best roast potatoes, and we ate quite a lot of them. I'd made quite a lot, but we ate quite a lot, and it was just a really, really lovely lunch. I had one issue, which was that I wanted to make mashed swede and carrot. I'd already roasted parsnips, carrot and sweet potato, as well as the roast potatoes, but I wanted to have mashed swede and carrot as well. But for some reason it wouldn't boil, and I had it for 50 minutes on the hottest setting on that ring and it would not boil, and I could not understand it. I also did peas and sweet corn, so we did have some fresh vegetables that weren't roasted. But when my son left to go home and I investigated the oven, it turned out that the knobs for each ring have a cover on them, and the cover on this knob had come loose, so I was turning the cover and not the knob. So that's why it wasn't boiling. It wasn't on the hottest setting at all. I don't know what setting it was on, but it wasn't on the hottest setting. The water got warm, but it certainly didn't get hot. I've now glued the knob cover back on because tomorrow I'm having an inspection of my flat by the lettings agency, so everything needs to be tickety-boo. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I do videos on my budget. I do videos on sometimes food prep, shopping videos, and sometimes organising videos. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Keep well. Bye.